They had marital problems.
Objection, move to strike the characterization.
All right, and I'm going to remind you, sir.
This is not this witness's fault. It's December 10th. It's day 8 of the Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe. And maybe the Commonwealth is resting today, but before court began, they were at the side of the bench for like 30 minutes before they even went on the record with anything. Maybe we'll know more of what that's about. Maybe we won't. But today we are supposed to have that voir dire of Gem Mutlu, but the non-Mutlu witnesses are done, and the Mutlu witness, it is time. So apparently we're getting to the Mutlu of it all today with the voir dire. Remember, the voir dire is outside the presence of the jury, and it gives the attorneys the opportunity to question in an area that they're not sure if it's going to come in yet in front of the jury. Can you lay the foundation to get into this area? Is this area appropriate? Does this witness have knowledge of that area? Because for them to have knowledge, you have to find out if they do. And sometimes when you say it in front of the jury, what do I always say? Yeah, it's too late once the shit's out of the horse, right? So they do the voir dires outside the presence of the jury to examine in a topic area that they don't want to hear for the first time in front of the jury. So the rules of evidence are a bit looser because it's meant to explore an area that may or may not be appropriate for the jury.
You are unmuted.
Witness stated she told me there are marital issues. And then when asked about the term marital issues, he stated that there were problems in the marriage, being away from the children and traveling back and forth from work. I would suggest that those come from that conversation, and that is absent of a feeling or a gist and would be admissible.
What's your position with regard to leading?
I would object. I don't think it's appropriate or necessary. He's a grown man. If there's an objection, I will make it. I don't think this is appropriate to lead this particular witness where they want him to go. With respect to the testimony, I don't think he should be able to use the term marital issue or marital problems. He was consistently pressed about what Ana told him. It's clear that this was his feeling, his characterization of that conversation. The purpose of this hearsay exception is to admit specific statements of a witness to show state of mind or motive. It is not a chance for this witness to pontificate about his feelings and responses to that witness. So I think he should be limited to just what she said. And I would object if he starts talking about marital problems or marital issues, because I believe that was his characterization.
He said problems.
So as I said to him, he doesn't have to remember the exact words that she used. What he needs to remember is that she actually said it to him. It seems to me there are at least 3 things that he recalls her saying to him, maybe not the exact words, but they, as you just went through, that the back and forth was taking a toll on her, not seeing the children. I don't know if you put those 2 as one, that Brian hadn't been able to leave Massachusetts. And that was a huge burden on her psyche, I think is what he said. I think those are fair statements that he can bring in. I don't think he's had the benefit now of this voir dire in which he's gotten a little bit of legal instruction. I don't know how it's going to play out real time with regard to that word marital problem, marital issues. But I suspect we'll take that as it comes. He may stay away from that just because he's just been cautioned and just been sort of made aware of the distinction of that he doesn't recall her using those words. So I suspect he won't bring that out. If he does, we'll either clarify it by saying, do you have any memory of her actually using those words? And I will.
She was having problems in her marriage. There, I fixed it. Also, the prosecution should just let him review what he previously said. And then the prosecution can remind the witness before he comes back in to testify, hey, you need to testify about what Ana said to you, not about how you felt about it.
Entertain a motion to strike. But I think the general gist of he remembers enough of that conversation that some of it's going to come in.
So it's coming in.
The 3 parts that I have indicated.
Is this the box the 3 of you signed?
Yes,
Could you read it out loud for us, sir?
sure. Wow.
Oh, perseverance, not
2022,
compassion.
what a year. And yet we are still here and together Let's make 2023 the best one yet. We are the authors of our lives. Courage, love, perseverance, compassion, and joy. Love, Ana.
Ms. Gilman, can we now have Exhibit 258, which is file number 7222?
He's reading the box because he witnessed Ana writing on the box. Also, there are so few times in any homicide trial that the words of the victim are actually in court. So the DA is trying to let that be heard because this is what was happening on New Year's Eve while he was there, even though it's heartbreaking.
Sir, does this look like the side that Brian signed?
Yes.
Could you read in this portion if it's possible?
Yes. Gem, Ana, Brian, New Year's Eve 2023, to the best triumvirate ever. Love, Brian, and then the date.
Brian really liked the word triumvirate.
2022.
And finally, Ms. Gilman, could we have file number 7224, which has now been admitted as Exhibit 259? Sir, do you recognize this side of the box?
Yes, it's my handwriting.
And can you read what you wrote on the box?
Yes. No place I'd rather be but here, New Year's Eve 2022. Gem.
Throughout the time, the 2020 through 2022, you had a chance again to spend a lot of time with Mr. and Mrs. Walshe.
That's correct.
And you talked to Ana a lot about her relationship and her marriage and being a mother.
Yeah.
And during those conversations and your observations, Ana told you that Brian wasn't the jealous type.
That's correct.
And at some point, while Ana was working for you, she confessed that she had a crush on you.
She said that, yeah, maybe. I don't recall specifically those words coming out. But
Would
yeah.
looking at a copy of your interview from January of 2023 help refresh your memory?
Sure.
Does reviewing that portion of your statement refresh your memory as to whether Ana had told you that she had a crush on you?
I object to this line of question, Your Honor.
You can answer it. If it refreshes his memory, it does.
I don't recall Ana telling me that she had a crush on me.
Okay. When you were working together and Ana was there, you had mentioned that you had other people working with you and for you.
That's correct.
And at some point, you developed a close relationship with another female coworker.
That's correct.
And I'm assuming it became romantic.
Objection.
Sustained.
So you don't have any memory of Ana Walshe telling you that at some point she was a little jealous of that coworker and had a crush.
Objection.
Sustained.
She developed feelings for you.
Objection.
Sustained.
Ana Walshe told you that she told her husband that she had a crush
I'll
on
see you
you.
at the side of the bench.
So Brian Walsh's probation officer is going to be up next after Mr. Mutlu. I imagine that the jury has some of the same questions y'all do. Wasn't he on house arrest? How was he just here, there, and everywhere? And I imagine his probation officer coming in to talk about how that process works will be quite interesting. But we are not done with the testimony of Mr. Mutlu. It's been one of the longer cross-examinations from this entire trial. I'm not surprised. The defense has gotten into some areas that I was actually surprised how long it took the prosecution to object. And I'm curious to see how redirect goes now that the defense has tread more into the relationship between Brian and Ana, things that Brian told Mr. Mutlu, which the prosecution could have kept out entirely, and what Ana was saying to him at different points. It will be interesting to see.
Sir, when you were saying people are complex and you had heard a couple days prior, are you referring to your conversation with Ana a couple days prior?
Yes, I was. I
What
am.
were you referring to?
What is it that you heard in your conversation a couple days prior that makes you say that people are complex?
That they had marital problems.
Objection, move to strike the characterization.
All right. And I'm going to remind you, sir,
This is not this witness's fault. Counsel went on and on and on and on in cross to try to characterize the evening. And then he was saying, right, but I knew that there was more underneath the surface. I knew that there was more underlying it. And what I knew is that she and Brian were having problems. And I knew that because we were talking about the problems they were having. So I knew that even though the surface was smooth, that there was an undercurrent in this marriage.
I'm going to strike the marital problems of characterization, but you can, without characterizing.
What did she say?
You can discuss what you recall her saying, even if you don't remember the exact
Sure.
words.
I
Why don't
recall.
we state the question again?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Understanding what Her Honor said as far as what Ana was saying,
Sure.
what is it that you heard in that conversation that you just said that people are complex?
Well, if I may I explain?
Yes.
I think you can't, sir. I think you have to stay with just what Ana said to you.
What did she tell you?
You state what Ana said to you. If you can't, that's okay. But if you can state what Ana said to you.
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay, counsel. Stop giving up. If he needs to refresh his recollection, give him his report. No, it's not okay.
That's my question.
On the 29th,
Yes.
when we had that phone conversation,
Yes, sir.
What was she talking
she
to you
told
about?
me that there were cracks in the relationships. And I don't know which words. She may have used precisely those words. She may have used other words.
Please seen sidebar objection, and I'm going to move to strike that testimony.
I'll hear you at the sidebar before I make any ruling on that.
He is allowed to summarize what Ana said to him. He does not have to remember verbatim. He is allowed to say, Ana was telling me about problems she was having with Brian. He is not allowed to then characterize that into his opinion. And the defense is arguing that it's his characterization or his
That's my opinion!
that they were having marital problems, when the words that Ana were saying to him was that she was having problems with Brian. But I think the defense is highlighting that they are displeased with this testimony. And I think the jury is sitting there going, so she's telling her friend that she's having marital problems? Because the hullabaloo that the defense is causing is going to highlight this more than if the testimony just came out.
I know it's been 3 years.
Give him his report.
To the best of your recollection. What I'm asking you is on that December 29th conversation.
She didn't strike the answer, by the way.
Your recollection, what did Ana Walshe say to you?
So the cracks in the
What did
relationship
you say that people are complex?
is in evidence.
The complexity I'm referring to is the fact that on the 29th,
Okay.
yes, she gave me information. I cannot recall the exact words. She gave me information that she was having problems in her marriage with Brian.
In your honor, move to strike.
That's fine.
To the best of your recollection, what
He does not have to remember the exact words. He doesn't.
did she say?
Well, again, it's been 3 years, Your Honor.
If you have a recollection, you do. And if you don't, sir, that's fine too.
I remember what was discussed at the conversation. I just don't remember the exact words. I did give my testimony when it was very fresh.
Ana,
And I know we're
Yeah,
all
I understand. Sure.
jumping in the middle.
Sure.
It's just because we want to make sure we get it right.
No, you shouldn't move on. All of you can do this better.
Mention it all. Mention it all.
Okay.
So you had the conversation with Ana on the 29th.
That's correct.
Do you remember what she said? If you don't, you don't. It's okay. Do you remember what she said that makes you think that people are complex?
He keeps telling you that.
Well, it's not what she said that night that makes me think that people are complex. I know people are
Honor, move
complex.
to strike.
all right, I'll strike the end, redirect the witness to the time frame.
All right. So just on December 29th,
Yeah.
what did she say to you as far as your concerns about her being,
I don't recall the exact words.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing.
He gave up.
And what was the window of release on Sunday, January 1st of 2023?
On the 1st, he had submitted a request to return his mother home from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And what do you mean return his mother home?
He indicated that his mother was staying with him post-surgery and he was taking her back to her residence.
And when was that window established?
That would have been the week prior, so I want to say December 22nd.
So at the lunch break, we finished the testimony to my displeasure with Mr. Mutlu. The prosecution, after a flurry of objections during the redirect, just kind of let it go. But it was clear that the witness was frustrated. It's clear that I'm frustrated because the witness was trying to explain the sum and substance of his conversation with Ana Walshe. And they kept trying to restrict him to, you need to give a verbatim recitation, which is not true. And in fact, the court had said earlier to the witness during the voir dire, you don't have to tell us exactly the words that were said. You can tell us what the conversation was, but not your impression from the conversation. And those things are hard to parse. I don't know if there was a reason that the prosecution could not refresh his recollection. The defense had shown him his police report. The prosecution did not show him any prior testimony, did not show him his police report. And he said a couple times, tried to say, but I said earlier, and everyone cut him off. So no conversation about the grand jury. It seems that he testified at grand jury and he was not refreshed from that. I don't know if that was strategy. I don't know if that was motion in limine. Neither does the jury. So unfortunately, sometimes when we are sitting here as the jury, we are left with questions and vibes of annoyance. I really wished the prosecution had allowed or fought a little bit harder for those questions to come in. But alas, it's where we are. And I just have to wonder if how vociferous those objections were from the defense rings louder than the things that Mr. Mutlu did or didn't say, because the objections were probably the most forceful and numerous that we've seen the entire trial. And that also is going to stand out for the jury. And then the next witness was Mr. Walsh's probation officer. Remember, he was on house arrest-ish for his federal case. And he had standing appointments to drop off his kids between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. and standing appointments to pick up his kids from, I think she said 3:15 or 3:30 or 3 to like 6:30. The windows of time he had to do things were substantial. And he was also allowed to help his mother every Thursday from like 10:15 to 1:30. He had substantial swaths of time to do things. They didn't ask if the house arrest was GPS based, which I thought that they would. But that really wasn't the point of that testimony, because what the probation officer said was that the week before New Year's, Brian Walshe had asked for a substantial amount of time in the evening of January 1st to take his mother home because he was caregiving for her at his house. On New Year's Eve, Brian Walshe's mother was not at their home. Brian Walshe's mother wasn't there staying with him. Interestingly, the probation officer also said, because Brian Walshe had to request windows of time to go do things that he was allowed to do the week before, on January 6th, Brian Walshe emailed his probation officer and asked for a haircut on the 11th from 1:30 to 3:15, and asked for 10:30 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. on January 12th to meet with his probate attorney. What estate were you probating while your wife was missing? Now, of course, he got arrested on this case before that could happen, but I imagine that the prosecution is going to argue that him requesting that window to take his mom home when his mom was not there, that it's premeditated.
In Christmas of 2022, did you have communication with Brian Walshe on that day?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
Brian called me that day, and because he rarely or almost never called me, I answered, and he was looking for Ana because he said he hadn't heard from her. And so, because she lived around the corner, I offered to go over there and check on her.
And what happened? Did you go over and check on her?
As I was getting ready to go, he had messaged me back that he had gotten in touch with her.
Did you speak with Ana Walshe that day on Christmas Day?
Yes.
And when did you speak with Ana Walshe that day?
It was late, much later that day in the afternoon. I was already with family for the holiday, and she called me as she was driving up to Massachusetts.
And what was her demeanor when she called you?
She was very upset.
And when you say very upset, can you describe that?
Yeah, she was angry, and she was upset that Brian would have called me that day because, she said that she'd only not spoken to him for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, that it really hadn't been that long. And, there was already some strife, and then she had...
Sustained, non-responsive. So I'll strike the last part.
And did you arrange to see her again?
Yes.
And when did you plan to see Ana Walshe?
I can't remember exactly when we planned it, but I know we had planned a day to get together right before New Year's to kind of see each other, hang out, catch up, and like celebrate like a New Year's together.
And did you see her to have that celebration?
Yes.
And what day was that you saw her to have that celebration?
I believe it was the 29th.
What was her demeanor that night?
So that night, because of what happened after Christmas, she was really upset. She was kind of breaking down because everything had been really hard, which Ana was always a very strong person, so that was very unusual for her. And she was just really upset about so much. She had really hit a breaking point. And we talked about a lot of things because she was so upset.
On December 29th, what did she tell you about if she loved the defendant, Brian Walshe?
She told me that he would often not tell her he loved her and would always ask her how much she was in love with him. And that she told me that this time she answered not as much because of everything that had happened. And that she was falling out of love, and also that she wanted, I think she saw.
Objection, Your Honor.
Again, she saw. I know it's a long time ago, but it has to be the statement she made to you, not what you think or what you understood from it. It's statements that she made to you.
Okay, sorry.
And
I think she's doing a great job. The defense is getting feisty, and it just highlights for the jury what's happening. The prosecution has rested. They did, I think, save their more emotionally impactful witnesses until the very end of their case. And a lot of new information was learned from those witnesses. So what does that mean from here? Well, the defense ran their motion for a verdict of not guilty, sometimes called a judgment of acquittal, sometimes called a motion to dismiss, and that was denied by the court. The defense argued, as we thought they might, that there is no evidence that the jury can glean for state of mind, the intent to kill, and premeditation. And the prosecution said that there is plenty of evidence from which the jury can determine that there was premeditation here and an intent to kill. The court denied that motion. We will begin the defense case in chief tomorrow, Thursday, December 11th, in court. But what did we learn today? Well, I was very frustrated with the prosecution that they did not dig in a little bit more to letting Gem Mutlu talk about the things that they talked about on the 29th. And once we got to one of Ana Walshe's closest friends testifying, Alissa Kirby, I can see where their strategy was. Still frustrated by it, but I can see where their strategy was. The attorneys in the case always know more than we do. And that is not shocking to anyone. They have a reason for the things they do, even if to us, it can be like, no, do it. But the testimony of Alissa Kirby was illuminating, sad, emotional, and new things were definitely learned. From Alissa, we hear that Ana Walshe was at a breaking point on December 29th. And then the prosecution asked a question in redirect that might have changed things in the mind of the jury. The defense, like they did with Mutlu, was pushing and pushing and pushing on objections as an emotional and grief-laden and sad friend was trying to explain what Ana had told her and trying to parse out the things that Ana told her from the things she knows now to give truthful, honest, linear testimony. And the defense pushed and pushed and pushed, leading the prosecution into a question that elicited an answer that I was not expecting. And there were more than one. But what Alissa told the jury and all of us is that Ana Walshe on the 29th was frustrated because in the relationship with Brian, he did not frequently tell her that she was loved or that he loved her. And he was constantly asking her how much she loves him and pressing her to tell him how much she loves him. And Alissa said that Ana told her that the last time he asked, she said, not as much anymore. And told Alissa that she told Brian Walshe that she was falling out of love. That is the first time we heard that. In addition to this witness sharing that Ana Walshe told Brian Walshe that she had a crush on William Fastow, who she was in an intimate relationship with, the witness, Alissa, said that she did not know that Ana was in an intimate relationship with William Fastow, but knew how much she was enamored, I would say, with him, talked about him a lot, talked about what it might be like, talked about having her kids in DC, wanting to have her kids in DC. Alissa also told us that Ana said that she was frustrated that Brian Walshe, she thought, Ana, was delaying the federal case and wanted him to take responsibility for the federal case. Wanted him to take responsibility, even if it meant him going to jail, so that the family could be together again. And wanted him seemingly to just close this chapter. And that Ana told her friend she thought that Brian was the one delaying the federal case. And Ana was frustrated because she wanted the federal case to be done. Remember, we heard that one of the primary reasons Brian Walshe was on home confinement, we've talked about that a lot today, but one of the reasons he was on home confinement is because he was the primary caregiver for the kids. He couldn't move to DC. He was not allowed to leave the state. But because the kids were with him, he was granted home confinement to take them to school and to take care of them while Ana was working in DC. And Ana was frustrated and wanted the kids to be in DC with her. And I don't think we would have had that answer that Ana Walshe told Brian Walshe that she was falling out of love with him and that she didn't love him as much and that she was frustrated with the whole thing if the defense hadn't pushed and pushed and pushed. And it makes it seem maybe more clear that the reason Ana was inviting Gem Mutlu over to celebrate New Year's Eve is because having a third party there made New Year's Eve smoother. Ana also told Alissa how angry she was, how frustrated she was that Brian Walshe was essentially checking up on her and calling Alissa on Christmas Day asking where Ana was. Ana spent the night at William Fastow's home on December 24th. And on Christmas Day, Brian Walshe is calling up Alissa saying, I haven't heard from Ana. And Alissa said, oh, I'll go over to her home and see if she's there. Did Brian Walshe know that Ana Walshe wasn't at home? And then, apparently, Ana told Alissa that Brian told Ana, Emily, this is all hearsay. Yes, it's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted, but holy what? Apparently, Brian told Ana that his mother had gone to a psychic, and the psychic told Brian's mother, who then told Brian that Ana was having an affair. I just have to wonder if the mother was using psychic and PI synonymously, because Brian said in his police interview that his mother had a PI. And then at one point he switched it to she was going to get people up in DC. So if the prosecution doesn't argue that Brian Walshe knew that Ana Walshe was having an affair after all of the testimony we've seen today, I will be surprised. When we get to closing arguments, it's going to be very interesting to see how perception of this case changes. But Alissa shared with the jury that she had told Brian about her crush on William, which gives a little bit new context to the fact that he was looking for her on Christmas Day. He was mad about Christmas, and that he had called William's phone while William and Ana were out to dinner and then said, oh, no, but my kid did it. And the prosecution in their argument today pointed out something that I had completely forgotten about, because there's a lot of evidence here, but that during the time Brian Walshe's phone was missing, that phone was locked and unlocked, plugged into power and unplugged from power. And then Brian Walshe was asking to take his mother back to her house on New Year's Day with a very long window of time from like 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. But when Gem was over at the house, the only parties at the house on New Year's Eve were Brian, Ana, and the children. The mom wasn't there. So is the prosecution going to argue that he needed that window of time? Or is the prosecution going to argue that the premeditation was when he chose to get that destroyed knife out of the kitchen? And then why would he be Googling if DNA is destroyed on a knife in a dishwasher, if DNA is destroyed with bleach, and how to get blood off of a floor if that knife wasn't used for that? And if it wasn't, why wasn't the knife with the hatchet, the hacksaw, the hammer, and the rest of it? Why was the knife different? And is it because he was worried his DNA was on that knife too, because he cut his finger with it? If they don't argue it, I will probably start yelling, because choosing to go to the kitchen and get a knife could be enough of a choice for the prosecution to argue premeditation. So we will see what the prosecution argues, and the parsing of what is and is not premeditation, how long that takes, because it can be a momentary decision. The parsing and the legal parsing of that may not matter if Brian Walshe testifies, because if he testifies, this whole case comes down to how he testifies. If he doesn't testify, the defense has a legal argument to say, have they proved this to you beyond a reasonable doubt? Where did they show you he intended to kill Ana Walshe? Where did the prosecution prove to you that he intended to kill her? They had a lovely night together. The defense asked Mr. Mutlu multiple times, wasn't it a joyful night, a joyous night, a hopeful night? And he kept trying to say, well, there's more to that. And the defense kept objecting. So we didn't get to that. But the nuanced legal argument might not work as well after what we heard today. It might not work as well if the defendant testifies, because if he testifies, everything will hinge on what he says. And if he testifies that, like they said in opening, he was nudging his spouse in the bed. And then remember in opening, the defense said he nudged her so hard she fell onto the floor. Is that the defense's preemption to explain why the varnish is missing on the floor in the bedroom? Literally, she fell out of the bed and hit her head, and that's why he was Googling how to clean blood off of the floor? Is that where the argument's going? Because that's what they said in opening. But in opening, they told the jury that they were going to hear all of that, and the only way they can hear that is from Brian Walshe himself. So when is Brian Walshe going to testify, and what is he going to say? Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the LawNerd app at lawnerd.app.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.